Circle launched its L1 called Arc, and I found the chain to be quite interesting from technical standpoints. I mean, I've read the architecture, I've also deployed on the chain, and this is the video you have to watch if you want to know about Arc, you want to know about how it works, you want to know about the technical underpinnings, you want to know about how to deploy on Arc, and probably if you're a senior engineer here and you want to deploy on Arc, want to deploy a protocol Arc. That said, there are about four things that kind of make Arc interesting. The first thing is the EVM compatibility. So it's not like you probably have to learn a new language or to learn a new framework. You can just use your Solidity Viper, how you basically build on EVM. And yes, Foundry works. So you can use Foundry as your tool chain to kind of deploy your contract. And for me, I find that's maybe quite convenient. The second thing is the USDC stable settlement. For me, I prefer to settle my gas with USDC. The explain it to probably want to send USDC and you want me to probably have it as gas. I find that quite stressful. So I love the thesis of ARC that gas and every other thing else should be settled in USDC. I think that's quite interesting. Then the third thing is the deterministic finality, and our claims that everything will be sorted within a second. Well, there is a caveat to that anyway. I mean, the workload is not so much yet. The user base is not yet thousands and millions yet. Maybe that's why we can't really contest that. But like from a theoretical standpoint, it claims to settle things in under 1 second. And I find that very interesting because you can use it to settle remittances, settle things without having to have any headache in your protocol. Then the fourth thing, I've been a good preacher of privacy lately, at least moderately, and R has a plan to inculcate privacy into how the chain works and the user experience as well as developer experience. Now, with that said, let's kind of look into how to deploy on Arc, and I'll be writing a very simple contract that I'll be deploying together to have a feel of how it works. And so right now, setting up Forge, you can just come to your VS Code and say Forge games. Let's say, and to initialize Forge, then can count ASRC straight and say want to say Arc. So the contracts we are deploying first contracts. It's just for you to understand how it works then. But wait, I've done this tests. Frac actually now deploy your serious prod contracts. That's it. Let's get into it. We can say Frac zero 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 one and it's a number. Creating a private variable called created. Then you can how the cat start. Say grading. That's you can create a couple of functions. Get a set graded, which is a setting function, and get graded. Get a function. You can return the grading and just say return grading. Then for the setup option, let's make it public. Then can say grading is assigned to a new grading, and that's it. But for this, we have to give it a couple of parameters. Say turning memory. It can we call it when we call it over here. That's simple. And of course, Foundry has a couple of contracts that are demo contracts, and you have to just comment them out so you won't run into the error when filing. And focus on our own arch of the sole contract. Now that we have the contracts side, we can now work with the END and create our END. So there are two things you want to do here. You want to put the testnet URL and you want to put your PK. For me, when I get testnet's wallet, I use that portal. So I can just see portal wallet, and it will give me it will give me an address like this, and also puts the PK into an ELV5 plugin, something like this. So it's all testnet stock, so you don't have to bother too much. And once you have this address, for example, you can just go to the Google Faucets. It's right on the website. Just get it. Get maybe one USDC on the ARC testnet. And once you have that, you have to put the testnet URL. The testnet URL is very, very simple. You can just say in your env that this is how it looks once you spell it out in the env file this way, that you can put your PK right on that haze, and then that's wanna deploy. I just also want to see the test things out, and it's very simple. Once you copy the public address or the wallet you want to use, you just come to this page and Arch testnets or whatever, then impute your stub and get more USD. It's as simple as ABC. Now let's deploy our contracts, and as you can see here, this is the foundry command to deploy. And we just use the RPC that is already in the ENV and the PK that is the ENV. I will test this. But before that, you articulate where you want the contract to be deployed from. So it's arc.sol and the name of the contract is Elo Architects. So you have to really spell that out very well for Foundry to easily locate it in the SRC folder. And once you do that, it will compile. Or that's that it will do forge p that default. And once that is done, you have it deployed. You see the deployer address. You see where it's deployed to, and you see the transaction hash to follow up on the Explorer. So we're having kind of played around Arc. I'm thinking of doing a couple of more things on Arc, and hopefully to deploy cache bots also on Arc. Because I love the fact that history everything is USDC. But what about you? If you are building stock in every protocol, what do you think about Arc as an L1? Have you ever tried to build stuff on it? What's the experience? Do you have to let me know? And if you are trying to deploy your contracts of the protocol on Arc and you need technical help, can reach out to me and I'll be delighted to help you out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.